Savannah, I'm coming home, Savannah. We'll never be alone, Savannah. The beauty of the world, Savannah. Let's all take a walk.
G'day, I'm Charlie Pryde.
And I'm Jennifer Pryde. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Pride of the Villages.
Bermuda has a reputation as a vacation spot for the newlywed and the nearly dead. Well, Jen and I certainly are not newlyweds and hopefully not nearly dead. But Bermuda is a place we heard wonderful things about and wanted to visit. When we lived in Tampa for 14 years, we took advantage of the ease of cruising from several Florida ports, visiting the Bahamas, the Eastern and Western Caribbean. However, to visit Bermuda by cruise line, you would typically have to fly up to the East Coast and depart out of New York, Baltimore, or Boston. Well, this year, Royal Caribbean's Mariner of the Seas started offering 8-night itineraries out of Port Canaveral that included the Bahamas and several nights in Bermuda. This video will highlight the cruise we just took, but first we're going to talk about the ease of getting on a cruise from living in the villages, the current COVID rules as they applied to our cruise, and changes we have noticed in ship operations since our last cruise pre-COVID. Whereas others in the United States, international tourists have to fly to Florida and likely stay in a hotel overnight to get on a cruise ship, living in the villages affords us the opportunity of being able to choose from several major cruise ports in Florida within an easy driving distance. Depicted on this map are Florida's 5 major cruise ports, with 3 of them being the busiest cruise ports in the world. Starting with the smallest, Jacksonville is a 2.5-hour drive from the villages, with the Carnival ship Elation conducting sailings to the Bahamas. Next, the Port of Tampa is an 80-minute drive and hosts several cruise lines, running itineraries to the Western Caribbean. These ships are smaller in class, as they have to be able to sail under the Skyway Bridge that traverses Tampa Bay. Port Canaveral is 1 hour 45-minute drive from the villages and is the second busiest cruise port in the world, hosting several cruise lines and large ships that conduct cruises to the Bahamas, throughout the Caribbean, and now Bermuda. Port Everglades in Fort Lauderdale is the 3rd busiest cruise port, hosting several cruise lines with itineraries throughout the Caribbean, especially the Southern Caribbean. Port Everglades is a 4-hour drive from the villages. The Port of Miami, the cruise capital of the world, is a 4.5-hour drive from the villages. The port saw 5.5 million cruise passengers a year pass through its terminals prior to the start of the COVID pandemic. The number of cruise lines and classes of ships are endless. Now, one cost you will likely incur by driving by automobile from the villages is parking. Cruise terminal parking varies from $15 a day for Tampa and Port Everglades up to $28 a day for Miami. Of course, there are a great number of off-site parking operators at these ports, which offer cheaper rates and provide shuttle service to the terminals. So where are the major cruise lines in returning to full operations? Well, according to this email we received from Royal Caribbean, all 26 of its ships have returned to service. Also on our cruise, it sailed at 100% capacity. Now, COVID precautions are a big factor in cruising today, and if there is one constant, it is that COVID rules and regulations are constantly changing for ship operations and ports of call. Cruise lines and international ports may differ in the rules, so we will only address the rules that apply to our voyage. Royal Caribbean's policy is full vaccination for those passengers 12 years of age and older. Full vaccination is considered the 2-shot series or the 1-dose J&J vaccine. Booster shots are highly recommended. 100% of the passengers must have a pre-cruise COVID test done no earlier than 2 days before embarkation. The test can be an antigen or PCR for vaccinated guests. Unvaccinated children require a PCR test. Proof of a negative test must be shown during check-in. There was also a specific requirement for a travel authorization that had to be submitted online with the Bermuda government. This government authorization included uploading a vaccination card and a $40 fee. This travel authorization had to be approved before boarding the ship. Now, we had been given a 30-minute window by Royal Caribbean to arrive at the cruise terminal to board the ship, which I assume was to limit the amount of people congregated together, and I guess so did another 1,000 other people. There was an initial check-in to ensure that you had your travel documents, followed by security screening, and then a more complete inspection of passport, vaccination card, negative COVID test, and Bermuda travel authorization. The line for this process was about an hour long.
Finally getting on.
Once on board Mariner of the Seas, we learned the importance of having the Royal Caribbean app on our smartphones. The standard safety briefing of donning life jackets and such was done over the phone. After viewing the video, we reported to the muster station where the crew accounted for us individually. This was the easiest muster drill I think we've ever experienced. The masking policy was outlined. It was recommended that guests wear a mask while indoors, but it was not required on this cruise. I would say that 10 to 15% of the guests were wearing masks, and 100% of the crew wore masks when there was the potential interaction with customers. Distancing was encouraged through videos on the television. And through signs on the ship. Although with the ship sailing at capacity, this was difficult at times, especially when in elevators and during theater performance shows. The onboard buffet was in the Windjammer, and new to us was the requirement to wash your hands at these stations, which everyone happily complied.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Windjammer. Happy Sunday. Washy every day.
Once in the Windjammer, the staff did a good job of keeping the tables clean. The buffet was back to self-service. One change we noticed in the traditional dining room is that you are not presented with hard copies menus when you sit down. You use the scan code on the table or your phone app to read the menu. Hard copy menus would be provided if requested, as I one night forgot to bring my phone. There is specialty dining available at additional costs like the steakhouse, Italian, or Japanese cuisine. However, I never thought of Johnny Rockets as premium dining. Now I know where to take Jennifer on her next wedding anniversary dinner. There is, of course, Starbucks at a price for your specialty coffee fix. The ship has a great fitness center with cardio and weight machines to work off some of those calories, or at least lessen the eating guilt. Painful muscles? Then visit the spa for a variety of treatments. Just below the fitness center is the bridge, and that's where they are navigating into our first port of call. Now back on the ship, the amount of activities to do is endless. The day's activities are listed in the crew's compass, which is still delivered to your cabin the night before. Also, the app lists the times and places for all the activities. If you do lose track of the days on the ship, just look at the base of the elevator for a reminder. Your activities can be as physical or relaxed as you want it to be, everything from mastering the flow rider to napkin folding classes. Typically, the Lido deck is a whirlwind of activity, but we found some nice places to lounge out. For some reason, our ship did not have a lot of children on it. Not sure if this was because the time of the year, maybe with school still in session, or the itinerary that was sailed. Thus, we never observed kids out of control. However, if there had been, there was an adults-only area called the solarium, which is a great place to chill out individually or as a couple. Hungry on the sun deck, they serve a pretty good hot dog and potato salad, topped off with some soft serve ice cream. The mini golf has some challenging holes for Jen and I. You don't have these obstacles at the Villages putting courses. At the back of the ship, there were several free activities, including the flow rider. Now, I will say the most talented guys on the flow rider could easily have been village residents, and these guys were not shy of showing off their skills to the youngsters. A trip down to Perfect Storm is another way to get wet. For me, the rock climbing wall was challenging. Just wish I was taller and another foot at reach, but nevertheless, I gave it my best attempt. There was a variety of activities on the sports court. The SkyPad was a combination of trampoline activity while wearing virtual reality glasses, and luckily you are tethered in. If sand is what you are looking for, then the next stop has a lot of it.
Lions roaring in the morning sun, searching for a longer day. People feeling like the light has just come. We must never stop the way. Birds chirping and I hear my name, grasping into life. Life is happy but it's so insane. We must merely make a start. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a walk. Savannah. Lion's gonna come. The birds have just begun. We will always take a stand for the people, for the land. Let's go back to when we were young. For the animals we stand. Let's go back to when trees were swung. Savannah. I'm coming home, Savannah. We'll never be alone, Savannah. The beauty of the world, Savannah. Let's all take a roll. Savannah, I'm coming home, Savannah. We'll never be alone, Savannah.
When videoing the different venues on the boat, I'd like to do it early morning. So please don't assume that these areas are not hopping when open. The Royal Promenade is the indoor happening place. Along this promenade are the shops and several of the bars with different themes. There's even a sports bar. Cafe Promenade is a free venue with some really good pizza, sandwiches, and desserts. Below the promenade is the casino, and it looks like slot machines have become quite elaborate. There is also Schooner's Bar, which hosted most of the trivia contests. The bars are also where you will find some really good musical performances throughout the day and night. The Royal Theatre hosts the headlining acts, which are always well attended. This night, the senior citizens showed their appreciation for the Elton John tribute. There was also an ice rink on the ship, which had one of the best performances with the circus show on skates. During the day, there's also opportunities for passengers to do free skate. Getting pictures taken is still popular, especially on formal nights. Everything is digital now when viewing the pictures, and of course you can have them printed and framed. We have never bought art on board, but being a dog lover, I thought these two paintings were special. Now the highlights of our final port of call. was our 8-night cruise to the Bahamas and Bermuda aboard Royal Caribbean's Mariner of the Seas. Now for us, we believe it was the right time to start cruising again just based on our health and our vaccination status. But as they say, while we are done with COVID, COVID is not done with us. And this was evident on our cruise. By the 6th day, the captain announced positive cases amongst a very small number of passengers and crews, and this increased over the last days of the cruise. In fact, the cruise lines work with the CDC on reporting cases, and as you can see from this dashboard of the 93 ships reporting, 89 of them had COVID cases on board. Considering this, we would recommend that everyone conduct their own risk analysis on whether this is the right time for cruising. For us, the decision was yes, and we still have some cruise credits to use from previous trips that got canceled, so we're going to continue cruising this summer and possibly into the fall. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it was informative, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.